Every single morning when you open your eyes and regain consciousness, you are instantly presented with two entirely different and contrasting paths to control your day and, ultimately, your entire life. The first and most common path chosen by 99% of the crowd today is to mindlessly reach for your phone the moment you wake up, scroll through notifications, consume the cheap dopamine and clutter of social media, and allow the noise of the world, the opinions of others, bad news, and toxic negativity to flood your mind first thing in the morning. When you do this, you spend the rest of your day merely reacting to external events, handing over the steering wheel of your mind to strangers. But the second path, which is profoundly powerful and deep, is the path of Stoicism, an ancient philosophy where you refuse to surrender the first and most precious moments of your day to any external screen or person. Instead, you keep the key to your mind in your own hands and remain the absolute sovereign of your intellect. In today's modern, hyper-connected world, where almost everyone is a victim of some distraction, anxiety, or digital dopamine trap, great Stoic philosophers like the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, the brilliant statesman Seneca, and Epictetus, who rose from being a slave to a master teacher, left behind a blueprint of silent, daily habits. These habits are designed to pull you out of this chaotic noise and build an unshakable, silent, and ironclad mental strength within you. These are not just temporary self-help tips that fade away after a few days. They are the architectural bricks of an impenetrable mental fortress. Once you integrate these habits into your daily routine, the greatest tragedies of life, the betrayal of others, the fear of failure, or the harshest of circumstances will lose their power to break you from within. No matter how fierce the storm or the crisis, you will remain standing, perfectly calm, unbothered, and completely at peace. The first powerful daily habit taught by the Stoics is the morning review, which is the practice of mentally preparing yourself for the day before the chaos begins. Every single morning before stepping into the world or engaging with anyone, Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius would sit down with his journal and write a stark, realistic reminder to himself. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. At first glance, this might sound deeply pessimistic, negative, or cynical, but in reality, it is a brilliant psychological tool for premeditating evils, a concept the Stoics called premeditatio malorum. The Stoics understood that human beings do not get hurt by events themselves, but rather by the shock of unexpected events. By mentally rehearsing the worst-case scenarios, expecting people to be rude, expecting your plans to fail, and expecting traffic or delays, you completely eliminate the element of surprise. When someone eventually insults you or a crisis occurs during the day, your brain does not panic or react with blind anger. Instead, it remains entirely cool and collected because you already watched this exact script play out in your mind hours ago. This morning ritual serves as an invisible shield, ensuring that no matter what madness the world throws at you, your inner peace remains absolutely untouchable. The second transformative habit is the dichotomy of control, which is the absolute foundation of Stoic resilience. Epictetus, a man who endured the harsh reality of being born into slavery before becoming one of the most influential teachers in history, summarized this rule in a single, unyielding truth. Some things are in our control and others not. The Stoics believed that nearly all human suffering, anxiety, and frustration stem from a single psychological error: investing our energy, time, and emotional well-being into things we have absolutely no power to change. We constantly stress over the unpredictable economy, the weather, traffic delays, our past mistakes, the future, and most damagingly what other people think, say, or do. The Stoics practiced a rigorous mental filter every hour of the day. Whenever a problem arose, they immediately asked themselves, is this something within my control or is it completely outside of it? If the answer was outside of their control, like a sudden change in plans or someone else's toxic behavior, they consciously chose to let it go, meeting it with absolute acceptance. They realized that while you cannot control what happens to you, You have 100% control over how you choose to perceive it and how you choose to react. By ruthlessly focusing your mind only on your own actions, your own thoughts, and your own character, you reclaim your ultimate power and become an emotionally invincible force that nothing can break. The third daily habit is voluntary discomfort, which is the practice of systematically training your mind and body to handle adversity before life forces it upon you. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in the Roman Empire, advised his friend to set aside a certain number of days every month to eat the cheapest food, wear rough, worn-out clothes, and ask himself, is this the condition that I feared? In our modern world, convenience has made us fragile. We panic when the internet goes down, we get frustrated when our food is slightly cold, and we complain when the temperature isn't perfectly regulated. The Stoics knew that comfort is a drug that breeds weakness, so they deliberately injected small doses of hardship into their daily lives. Whether it was taking freezing cold showers, fasting for a day, sleeping on the floor, or walking in the rain without a coat. When you intentionally choose discomfort, you desensitize your mind to the fear of loss and scarcity. You realize that you don't need luxury to be happy, and more importantly, you prove to yourself that your survival and your peace of mind do not depend on external comforts. By mastering hardship on your own terms, you build a bulletproof mindset that makes you entirely fearless, because no financial crash, sudden loss, or physical struggle can ever catch you off guard. The fourth life-altering habit is memento mori, which translates to a constant, unyielding awareness of your own mortality. Remember that you must die. While modern society views the thought of death as depressing, morbid, or taboo, the Stoics embraced it as their most powerful tool for mental clarity and radical perspective. Marcus Aurelius famously kept himself grounded by telling himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. When you live with the conscious realization that your time on this earth is limited and that today could literally be your last day, all the trivial drama of life instantly evaporates. You stop wasting hours arguing with people who don't matter, you stop holding on to petty grudges, you lose the paralyzing fear of failure, and you stop delaying your biggest goals until tomorrow. Remembering death doesn't make a Stoic hopeless. Instead, it injects an intense sense of urgency, gratitude, and purpose into every single moment. It strips away your ego, eliminates your anxieties about the future, and forces you to live completely in the present, ensuring that you don't spend a single second of your precious life living beneath your true potential. The fifth daily habit that bridges your daily actions with higher wisdom is the evening review, a meticulous nightly ritual of deep self-reflection, moral accounting, and radical honesty that you must perform before you allow your head to touch the pillow. While the morning is strictly reserved for preparing your mental armor for the battles ahead, the evening is when you take off that heavy armor, step back, and systematically examine every dent, scratch, and emotional wound inflicted upon you throughout the day. Seneca described this practice beautifully, explaining that at the very end of every single day when the lights were finally dimmed, the world outside fell completely quiet, and his mind was still, he would put his entire day on trial, reviewing every single action he took, every word he spoke, every temptation he faced, and every hidden emotion he felt without a single shred of self-deception, ego, or excuses. This nightly mental audit requires you to step entirely outside of your own body, become a completely objective observer of your own life, and sit in total silence to ruthlessly ask yourself three fundamental questions. What did I do well today? Where did my character falter or give in to anger, jealousy, and distraction? And what concrete steps can I take to do better tomorrow? The Stoics did not practice this routine to punish themselves with useless guilt, crippling regret, or toxic shame. Instead, they treated their minds like a compassionate yet incredibly strict coach who demands constant, daily internal evolution. In our modern rush, we constantly repeat the exact same self-destructive mistakes, fall into the same toxic arguments with the same people, and succumb to the exact same mindless digital distractions day after day simply because we never stop to analyze our behavior or question why we reacted the way we did. By ending your day with this intentional evening journal or mental review, you completely stop living on autopilot and actively bridge the gap between who you currently are and the highest, most elite version of who you want to become. You break the vicious cycle of unconscious living, strip away the heavy psychological baggage of the past 24 hours, and sleep with a deep, profound sense of peace. You go to bed knowing that you have actively debugged your own mind, corrected your behavioral trajectory, and prepared your subconscious to wake up 1% wiser, mentally stronger, and completely unshakable than the day before. This habit forms the ultimate bridge to the next phases of your training, ensuring that your growth never stagnates. The sixth powerful habit that the Stoics practiced religiously is amor fati, which translates from Latin as the love of one's fate. It is the profound ability to not just tolerate or accept the bad things that happen to you, but to actually choose to love them, embrace them, and use them as fuel for your growth. Most people spend their entire lives fighting reality. When things go wrong, when a business fails, when a relationship ends, or when plans are completely ruined, they waste immense mental energy crying out, why is this happening to me? Marcus Aurelius offered a completely different, revolutionary perspective by comparing human life to a blazing fire. He wrote that a small flame can be easily extinguished by throwing a heavy object onto it, but a massive, roaring fire welcomes everything you throw at it. It consumes the obstacles, absorbs the debris, and uses that very material to grow brighter, hotter, and more powerful. By practicing amor fati every single day, you completely change your relationship with adversity and failure. Instead of viewing a crisis as a devastating tragedy that ruins your life, you train your mind to look at it as a masterclass in resilience, an unexpected test, and a brilliant opportunity to practice patience, courage, and resourcefulness. If you lose your job, a Stoic doesn't sink into depression. They see it as life clearing away the old to make room for a grand new challenge. If someone betrays you, you don't break down. You use it as an opportunity to master forgiveness and self-reliance. This habit turns you into an alchemist of reality, converting every single piece of psychological garbage, misfortune, and pain thrown at you into pure gold, making you absolutely unstoppable because nothing that happens in this universe can ever truly defeat you. The seventh profound habit embedded deep within the Stoic lifestyle is the view from above, a powerful visualization technique designed to instantly destroy your anxiety, crush your ego, and restore absolute perspective to your chaotic mind. When we are trapped in our daily routines, our problems feel massive. An argument with a coworker, a delayed payment, or a broken promise can feel like the absolute end of the world. The Stoics recognize that this happens because we suffer from a severe lack of perspective, completely forgetting how small we truly are. To combat this mental trap, Marcus Aurelius would regularly practice elevating his consciousness high into the sky, mentally rising above his immediate surroundings to look down at his house, then his city, then his entire country, and finally the whole planet Earth spinning silently in the vast, infinite emptiness of the cosmos. From this cosmic height, you are forced to look down at the entire human race. The wars, the political drama, the traffic, the breakups, the celebrations, and the funerals, and you suddenly realize that your biggest, most terrifying problems are nothing more than a microscopic speck of dust in an ocean of infinity. This habit does not mean you stop caring about your life or become cold and detached. Rather, it frees you from the paralyzing grip of daily stress and irrational fears. It strips away the self-absorbed illusion that the entire universe revolves around your immediate discomforts, giving you a massive wave of mental relief. By practicing the view from above whenever you feel overwhelmed, you instantly realize that the things causing you sleepless nights are incredibly temporary, allowing you to breathe deeply, step back, and handle your challenges with the calm, rational mind of a true philosopher. The eighth essential habit in the Stoic arsenal is the discipline of assent, which focuses on the absolute mastery of your internal judgments. The Stoics taught that the world around us is inherently neutral, It is neither inherently good nor evil, beautiful nor ugly. It is only through our own judgments which we pass upon these events that we create our suffering or our joy. The discipline of assent is the practice of becoming the vigilant gatekeeper of your own mind. Whenever an impression hits you, like a sudden thought that I have been treated unfairly, or this failure is a disaster, you do not immediately accept it as the truth. Instead, you pause, hold that thought at arm's length, and subject it to a rigorous logical investigation before allowing your mind to assent or agree to it. You ask yourself, is this thought factually true, or is it an emotional reaction? If you find that your brain is spinning a story of victimhood or panic, you have the power to stop that thought right at the threshold. By refusing to give your assent to destructive, irrational, or panic-inducing thoughts, you essentially deny them the power to poison your emotions. Most people are slaves to their thoughts, believing everything their mind tells them the moment it arrives. The Stoic, however, is a master of their internal reality. By practicing this discipline, you strip away the layers of emotional baggage that others carry, ensuring that you only accept thoughts that are grounded in reality, virtue, and logic. It is the ultimate form of psychological self-defense, where you realize that you cannot always stop the thought from occurring, but you have the absolute authority to decide whether that thought becomes your reality. The ninth profound habit practiced by the Stoics is the practice of self-mastery over impulse, which is the daily discipline of creating a conscious gap between stimulus and response. In our modern society, we are conditioned to react instantly to everything. A notification sounds and we immediately pick up our phone. Someone cuts us off in traffic and we instantly hit the horn in anger. Someone insults us and we immediately fire back an aggressive reply. The Stoics recognized that this instantaneous reaction is the definition of mental slavery. If anyone or anything can provoke an immediate emotional reaction out of you, then they own you. Epictetus brilliantly noted, remember that it is not he who reviles you or strikes you who insults you, but it is your opinion about these things as being insulting. To build this habit, the Stoics practiced what can be called the strategic pause. Whenever they felt a sudden surge of anger, lust, fear, or overwhelming desire, they would deliberately refuse to act on it. They would take a step back, take a deep breath, and allow the initial chemical wave of emotion to pass through their body before making a decision. They understood that anger is a temporary madness, and acting while under its influence is like steering a ship into a storm. By forcing a delay between what happens to you and how you respond, you give your rational mind the time it needs to take control of the wheel. This habit turns you into a person of immense gravity and composure. While the people around you are constantly panicking and exploding with raw emotion, you remain a calm, calculated, and deeply steady force because you have mastered the art of controlling your impulses rather than letting them control you. The 10th and final crowning habit that binds the entire philosophy of Stoicism together is the practice of sympathia, coupled with the ultimate lifestyle of living with virtue. This is the grand culmination of your mental training, the moment where you transition from a solitary warrior building an inner fortress into a fully realized, wise, and compassionate human being who masters reality. The Stoics used the term sympathia to describe the profound, invisible, and cosmic mutual interdependence of everything in the universe. They believed that we are not isolated islands living in a vacuum. Rather, we are all vital cells belonging to one single massive organism. Marcus Aurelius beautifully illustrated this by writing, what hurts the vessel hurts the whole. We are made for cooperation like feet, like hands, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth. When you truly internalize this final habit, your entire relationship with humanity shifts into absolute clarity. You stop viewing difficult, rude, or toxic people as enemies to be destroyed. Instead, you begin to see them as misguided, spiritually blind individuals who are merely acting out of ignorance of what is good. This realization completely vaporizes your capacity for hatred, bitterness, and revenge. When someone wrongs you, you do not retaliate. You recognize that by hurting you, they have actually caused the greatest harm to their own character and soul. You step forward into every interaction with an ironclad dedication to the 4 cardinal virtues of Stoicism. Wisdom, knowing what is good and what is bad. Courage, standing firm in the face of fear and adversity. Justice, treating every human soul with fairness, kindness, and equity. And temperance, practicing absolute self-control and moderation in all things. This is not a passive philosophy of hiding away from the world. It is an active, aggressive pursuit of moral excellence and duty. You do good not for praise, reward, or recognition, but because doing good is the very nature of a human being, just as a grapevine naturally produces grapes without asking for applause. Clapperboard the grand finale, closing the arch from noise to absolute invincibility. Now, look back at the entire journey you have just taken through these 10 sacred pillars of ancient mastery. We began this script in the absolute trenches of the modern world, standing at the edge of your bed, staring down at a flashing digital screen, watching 99% of humanity willingly surrender their minds to the cheap dopamine, chaotic noise, and toxic negativity of social media. You saw how easy it is to live as a slave to external events, constantly reacting, constantly panicking, and constantly drowning in anxiety. But you chose a completely different path. You chose the path of the emperor, the statesman, and the slave turned master. By integrating these 10 profound habits into the very fabric of your daily existence, you have systematically constructed an impenetrable, ironclad mental fortress that absolutely nothing in this universe can tear down. You arm yourself every single morning with the morning review, preparing for the worst so that nothing can shock your system. You ruthlessly filter reality through the dichotomy of control, hoarding your energy only for what you can change and completely releasing what you cannot. You harden your body and spirit through voluntary discomfort, becoming entirely fearless of scarcity and loss. You strip away your ego, your petty arguments, and your paralyzing anxieties through the radical clarity of memento mori. You hold yourself to the highest standards of accountability every night through the evening review, ensuring you wake up 1% wiser every day. You actively choose to love your destiny through amor fati, converting every single crisis and failure into fuel for your greatness. You shrink your terrifying problems into microscopic specks of dust using the view from above. You guard the gates of your mind with the discipline of ascent, refusing to let toxic thoughts become your reality. You shatter the chains of mental slavery by mastering the strategic pause over impulse. And finally, you walk through the world with sympathia, radiating virtue, justice, and absolute self-mastery to everyone around you. Stoicism is not a set of temporary self-help rules that you try for a week and forget. It is a lifetime battle strategy meant to be lived, breathed, and executed in the bloody arena of reality. The world will never stop being chaotic. People will still lie to you, plans will still fail, tragedies will still strike, and the storms of life will howl at your door. But from this moment forward, the storm outside has absolutely zero power over you, because the gates of your mind are securely locked, and you are the absolute sovereign of your intellect. Tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes and regain consciousness, the world will present you with those same 2 choices again. The phone will be there, the noise will be there, the distraction will be there. But you will not bow down. You will take a deep breath, step into your armor, master your perceptions, and live with absolute excellence. Turn off the noise. Silence the distractions. Master your mind, conquer your days, and become completely, utterly, and permanently unshakable.